Clutch time is when the stars are made, but sometimes things don't go as planned, and poor decisions can lead not just to losing a game, but to a career downfall. In this video, we will look back at cost us the game moments. We start off with Paul George, who joined the Los Angeles Clippers back in 2019 as the superstar who can finally take the curse off the team. After 2 seasons in LA, George took the Clippers to the conference finals for the first time in 41 years since the team joined the league. The Clippers lost Kawhi Leonard earlier in the playoffs, and PG was the man who needed to step up. He scored 34 points in the opening game of the series, but the Clippers still lost that one. Things looked much more promising in Game 2 as the Clippers had a 1-point lead with 8 seconds to go, and PG was about to shoot 2 free throws. He shot 86.8% from the stripe that season, being among the best 25 players in the league in that category, and his facial expression gave us the feeling that he had control over the situation. He missed them both, but it looked like the Clippers would still tie the series after the Suns missed a 3 and had possession with only 0.9 seconds left on the game clock. But then, Jay Crowder took care of the inbound pass, throwing a lob to DeAndre Ayton, who won the game for the Suns. The Clippers won a couple of games in the series, but the Suns advanced to the NBA Finals. That was the first NBA Finals appearance for future Hall of Famer Chris Paul, who previously failed to make it that far in his 6 seasons with the Clippers. CP3 saw it all during his time in LA, but there is one situation that probably pisses him off to this day. Paul was the leader of the Lob City Clippers, and there was a guy named DeAndre Jordan who made a nice living by finishing alley-oops that CP3 delivered to him. Jordan was one of those guys who just wanted to have fun on the court, and one time he made a fool of himself. The Clippers had the ball in clutch time against Portland with 2.8 seconds left on the game clock and only 1.7 on the shot clock. Paul missed a shot at the horn, and Jordan grabbed an offensive rebound, not realizing that there was still time left on the game clock. He could have just scored the game winner, but when he realized it, it was too late. The game went to overtime, and the Clippers lost that one. There is a reason why there are players labeled as go-to guys, and DeAndre is definitely not among them. Some guys desperately want to be that, and one of them is Jordan Poole. He hit a decent game winner in the NCAA tournament for Michigan and was willing to transfer that to the NBA. Playing for the Warriors, Poole got a lot of space in their rotation, and sometimes Steve Kerr regretted that. Leading the league in turnovers was bad enough, but taking the last shot over Steph Curry meant trouble. When the Warriors were down by 3 on the last possession against the Lakers, Poole decided to skip Steph Curry and take a 28-footer with 9 seconds left in the game. Of course, he missed that one, and the Warriors lost. Poole quickly turned from a player for the Warriors' future through a trade asset to a total bust. Maybe, just maybe, we can blame that decision on Poole's inexperience and maybe even on his low basketball IQ. Poole had an even bigger problem with Draymond Green in practice, and Green is somebody who stands out with his basketball IQ, which made him one of the key players in the Warriors dynasty. However, Green also had a moment of not being completely aware of the situation. The Warriors were down by 3 against the Spurs with more than 8 seconds left on the game clock. That is more than enough to make a couple of passes and create a high percentage shot. Curry was well defended on the inbound play, and Green was the one getting the ball at half court. Instead of handing the ball to Steph or dribbling it closer to the basket, Green launched a shot from near half court with more than enough time left. Curry could not believe what happened, and Kerr luckily had a mask on his face, so we could not see how pissed he was about losing that game to his mentor, Greg Popovich. These losses were tough to swallow, but it is even more difficult if you literally had the game in your own hands. Back in 2021, we saw Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving go against each other when the Brooklyn Nets visited the Washington Wizards. The Nets had a 5-point lead with only 12 seconds left in the game. There have been only a few cases in NBA history when teams managed to turn those games around, and the fans did not believe that would be the case that night, so they started leaving the arena. However, the Wizards were not ready to give up. First, Bradley Beal made a long 3-pointer to cut the deficit to 2 points. The Nets had the option to call a timeout, but Joe Harris decided to quickly inbound the ball, and that is when things turned ugly for the Nets. Harris threw the ball away, and Westbrook made a three to put the Wizards up by 1. The Nets had a chance to win the game on the last shot, but Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot missed a pretty easy jumper. That was a tough loss, but at the end of the day, it was just a regular season game. The real drama happens in the playoffs. In 2023, the Miami Heat became only the second 8-seeded team to make it to the NBA Finals, and they had quite a road to getting there. It all started with a matchup against the best team in the conference, the Milwaukee Bucks, who swept the Heat a year before. Miami was doing much better this time, having a 3-1 lead in the series, but was down by 8 points late in the game. That was when Jimmy Butler took over the show. After exchanging a couple of baskets, Miami was down by 2 with 2.1 seconds left. Gabe Vincent threw a long pass that Butler converted into a game-tying layup. The Bucks still had a chance to stay alive in the series, but their main stars choked in clutch time. Giannis Antetokounmpo was playing through injury and decided to pass the ball to the second highest paid player on the Bucks team, Chris Middleton. He was the best shooter on the team, but instead of trying to tie the game, he passed to Grayson Allen, who was not ready for the challenge. The top-seeded Bucks were eliminated early in the playoffs, which led to Giannis's epic interview. Miami went past the Knicks to face the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. They started well, stealing the opening game on the road, but things were not going well in Game 2. Grant Williams made a three-pointer to lift the Celtics up by 9 points in the middle of the fourth quarter. Running back on defense, he had something to say to Jimmy Butler, and after he scored over Williams, the two went head-to-head. That's when things turned ugly for the Celtics. Butler turned up the heat, and Miami went on a 24-9 run, with Jimmy scoring as many points as the entire Celtics team from that point on. The Heat took home a 2-0 lead and eventually won the series in 7 games. Miami stole the Eastern Conference title from the Celtics, and not that long ago, the Raptors were hoping to do the same against the Cavaliers. LeBron was still in Cleveland, and the Cavs were the team to beat in the East. The two teams collided in the playoffs for 3 consecutive seasons, and Cleveland won all 3 series. The Raptors were so close to winning in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2016, failing in 6 games. The next season, the Cavs swept the Raptors, and when the two teams met again in 2018, it was do or die for Toronto. They had the home court advantage and had 4 potential game-winning shots in the opening game of the series. 4 different players missed on the last play before the Cavs won that one in overtime. The Raptors fell apart after that loss, being swept for the 2nd consecutive year, and DeMar DeRozan was traded in the offseason. He did not demand a trade, but the Raptors front office simply decided that they needed to make some changes. Things led to much more drama when the Sixers lost to the Hawks in the 2021 playoffs. The Sixers were major favorites in that series, with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons both being all-stars. The Hawks somehow took the series to Game 7 when the Sixers literally fell apart. With 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the game, Simmons backed his way to the basket, spun around Danilo Gallinari for an easy look at the basket, and instead of making a layup or maybe even dunking the ball, he decided to pass the ball. Simmons and his lack of confidence in his shooting abilities is what caused the Sixers an early playoff exit, or at least Embiid and coach Doc Rivers, who lost his 4th consecutive Game 7, thought so. Simmons shot only 34%, 25-73, from the free throw line during the playoffs, missing 27 of those in the 7-game series against the Hawks. That was the breaking point in his career. Simmons refused to play for the Sixers ever again, a decision that cost him millions of dollars, and he has never reinvented his career since that moment. We can debate whether it is worse to lack confidence or to have plenty of it, and if you are wondering why, let's take a look at the worst plays that cost a team a win and maybe even a championship. In 2018, the Cavaliers and the Warriors collided in the NBA Finals for the 4th consecutive season. The Warriors won the previous one in 5 games and were major favorites in this series as well. However, the Cavaliers held tight in the opening game and had a real chance to steal that one. The Cavs were down by 1, with George Hill heading to the free throw line with less than 5 seconds left. He made the first one to tie the game, but missed the second. J.R. Smith made a brilliant move, grabbing an offensive rebound, but unfortunately, he he wasn't aware of the score. Instead of scoring from the paint, JR ran away with the ball, thinking that the Cavs had the lead. LeBron was trying to get his teammate accountable, but it was too late. The game went to overtime. The Warriors won that one by 10 points and swept the Cavs for another championship.